Good evening and hello, world. You are listening and watching The Mindset. And if you are just tuning in, you didn't miss the good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's the only place that you're going to find this in addition to our website. You will not find this anywhere else. So we're going to get right into the show. Again, for those that are just tuning in, I am here with a good friend of mine, an advocate for the people, the people's voice and choice, Stephanie Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love that. What you're doing is so inspiring to people, individuals, women, young ladies, young girls. So yes, I will always support your movement. The people will always support you no matter what. Like you said, you've been doing this since you were 12. Yeah. And people stand behind you because you are the purpose, you are the mission. So yeah. So that being said, you're a woman of many hats and you mastered a lot of them. So that being said, with the NFL and mental health and brain injuries, you have a movement, NFL
Sisters in Service.
Sisters in Service. Tell us a little bit about that and how it got started and why.
So NFL Sisters in Service is an organization. We're 501c3. All of our members are mothers, wives, and daughters of current and retired NFL players. Our players interact and participate with us as well. Of course, our sons and dads, but it's really about the ladies in terms of the organization and drive behind it. We use our professional talents to raise money for different organizations within the community, to present programs to the community, like our NFL Chess for Life program, or our Trayvon Martin and my Dade County Medical Association joint program to it's a medical mentorship program where we pair children who want to be doctors with doctors who look like them, send them to Ross University School of Medicine to get classes in through a symposium type of environment. But one of the main things that we've really been heavily advocating for in the last, I would say 10 years is the NFL family itself, in terms of the traumatic brain injuries that our husbands are suffering from and the lack of attention that is being paid to them by the NFL, and also the misinformation that's being sent out that our husbands are actually suffering from mental health illness instead of from a TBI that presents those symptoms.
Okay, so how, again, that's the movement. So what initiated this? What got you so passionately involved? And besides, like you said, it's a sisterhood behind, NFL wives. So besides that, the passion of the involvement, obtaining to the law side of it, or the help, the assistance of it with the NFL, how does that come into your movement?
So we got involved because we're an NFL family. My partner played for 5 years in the NFL. He spent 2 of those years trying to get out of the first guaranteed contract in the NFL because of a TBI that he has sustained. And he was the first player that the NFL acknowledged that playing in the NFL caused a brain injury. And so I went after the NFL on his behalf. And we were successful. And then fast forward, 10 to 12 years later, and the concussion settlement comes about. And his case, along with Jerry Sullivan and Mike Webster, were found when the NFL tried to have a case dismissed for lack of evidence that they knew that playing professional football could cause brain injuries. They found that they had paid 3 players for those brain injuries, so they absolutely knew. And so that kept the $1 billion concussion settlement alive. And we found some other things that the NFL has done, especially to players who have TBIs, that could be viewed as just outright fraud to begin with. And so what we've tried to do is to be advocates for those players and for their families through NFL Sisters in Service. We work with
Okay.
organizations like the Amen Clinic to get the
Okay.
player's brain scanned to where we actually look at the brain.
Mm.
Psychiatry is the only field of medicine that does not look at the organ that they treat. They
Yes,
never
that's
look
very
at the
true.
brain, they look at behavior.
Hmm.
And so, without having that clear cut evidence that this brain has been injured, there's low functionality in different areas where those injuries have occurred, and the symptoms that this player are experiencing match up with the symptoms that we expect to experience
Experience
when that area of the
injury.
brain is injured. Then we can debunk the fact and the myth that the NFL is trying to put out there now that we have players that are just suffering from mental health. They are suffering from the symptoms of a traumatic brain injury.
And that makes perfect sense, you know. And again, like you said, it's a you said a psychiatrist is the one that checks the brain,
And a neurologist,
and
a
and a
psychiatrist, and a
neurologist.
neurologist.
Okay. So again, anybody that's watching that wants to support, where can they support you? Where can they?
They can find out more information if you have a player or a loved one that played not only professional football. We see these symptoms in college athletes and younger kids who have gotten injuries. Tim Tebow states publicly that he got his first concussion at the age of 6 playing Pop Warner. And so, we are seeing these injuries younger and younger. NFL Sisters in Service works with a lot of players who are recently retired or who are currently still playing, even
I love
that
that.
are in their 20s and 30s. And so, if you have someone who's experiencing self isolation, suicidal thoughts, um, extreme headaches, ringing in the ears, they are easily aggravated, frustrated, their memory loss, they lose the track of their thoughts or their words. They have anxiety or depression, um, severe headaches, pain in their body, like especially from this area up. There's a myriad of symptoms that these players go through, and if you're having someone who's experiencing those, then the best course of action is to get their brain scanned. We're very thankful and grateful for Dr. Daniel Amen of the Amen Clinic.
Yes, I seen him. Yeah,
Yes, he's
with you guys.
amazing.
Yeah,
They have
you guys are
11
doing
clinics
amazing
around the
things.
country.
Yeah, you guys are doing amazing things. And then I seen you speak at a couple of places in regards to how your movement is, you know, I don't want to use the word care, that only care, because I'm pretty sure the NFL does. It's just a stipulation in regards to, so that being,
No, they don't care.
oh, well, okay, well,
NFL's motto is deny until you die. They literally are banking on the fact that the average age of death for an NFL player is 56 years old.
oh God,
They don't get their pension till that age. So they are literally banking on you dying before they have to pay you
before they have to pay you out.
or
And
acknowledge you.
like I said, you travel around and you speak, and when you speak, I paid attention to what you said in regards to that you guys have to pay for the doctor visits or prescription, even as simple as prescriptions or X-rays.
Yeah. The NFL is the only professional sport that doesn't have lifetime health insurance. It doesn't it really does not have a system in place to take care of the athletes. We can argue that whatever reason that is, but we can also just call a spade a spade. The majority of the league is 75% African American black, and the league owners are 100% not that. And at the end of the day, even the white players are disposable. The Hispanic, the Asian, the Samoans, all of us, we're all in the same boat with the NFL. And so, lifetime health costs for these players could be mitigated if we had health insurance and we could start taking care of those things like providing them hyperbaric oxygen therapy and supplements. There are a lot of natural ways that the brain can heal itself. The brain is the consistency of soft butter. The injury does not occur because of a skull fracture. It occurs because the brain has rocked against the jagged edges of the brain of the skull, and so it's bruising the brain. And just like a regular bruise on your arm, that bruise can fade and heal over time with the proper oxygen and proper nutrition and things like that.
So if a NFL player, say they throughout their duration of playing, which involved, remember, playing in high school, college, then pro, and say they had a concussion multiple times, is there some kind of, I'm trying to say, when they get their contract, like say, for example, the NFL, before they draft you, right, they already know you had a concussion in college or in high school, so to speak. So how would that work?
Well, the teams clear the players medically before they bring them on to their rosters.
Got
They
it.
clear them of mental health illness. That's why we know that these things were not pre-existing. They clear them of major injuries, and the majority of players in college, may not have had a traumatic concussion. They may have had a knee injury or a leg injury or something like
Understandable,
that.
yeah.
But when they get to the level where they're playing professionally, it's a whole different level. My partner described it as if he were playing. He went from playing pop. He was playing Pop Warner against the pros. That's how he felt coming out of college and going into the pros. He felt like he had gone that far backwards than playing against these grown men. And so, it's a lot more physical. And then back then, it also the head hits were like a big part of the game, to where that's what the fans were looking for, even
Those
the players
high
themselves.
impact hits and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so even the concussion protocol is not really what it's supposed to be. So what we have to do is educate these players, because they're all playing at their own risk, so to speak. There is no concussion settlement that's going to come back and take care of them, 10 or 15 years after out of the game.
Okay, so is there any advice that you can give to, let's say, parents that want to get their children involved in football, or even college kids that are listening to us right now that are playing football? What are some things or some questions that you can give them that they can ask somebody else to kind of guide them along that way?
I would definitely advise parents to observe practice and see how the kids are being taught to tackle. That's a huge part of injury, and a lot of if you notice from just sports in general, a lot of the injuries that we actually have are against defensive players, the long-term impacts, because they are putting their bodies out there on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And so,
defensive
teaching
line,
kids
yeah.
how to tackle correctly, not using their shoulders and their heads, but using their arms to wrap around the body and pull back in a certain way, and that kind of thing. Also, looking at the culture of the team that your kids are on. I personally would not allow my children to play youth football.
Okay.
I just think it's too dangerous for a developing brain. Maybe high school, but in my particular opinion, I wouldn't have wanted them to play high school either.
Understandable.
But for those parents who really do want their kids to experience football or even soccer, because it's another area that they're also injured, then you have to really just be observant of your children and how they are reacting. If their personality is starting to change, I would definitely tell them to get their child's brain scanned before they started playing. And if that's something that you want to put your child through and it's worth it for you to have them play that sport, it should be worth it for you to invest to see what your child's brain is like now, so that if something starts to come along down the line, you can have it rescanned to see if there's been any trauma.
Yeah, this is a great topic, and again, please support the movement that she has in regards to everything that she does. So again, Stephanie, you have been very informative. And like I said in the beginning, you're for the people. Let everybody know where they can follow you on your social media. Do you guys have a website for the NFL Sisters in Service?
We do. So our website is www.nfl, like National Football League.
Yes.
But we're in it for life.
Yeah.
NFL Sisters with an SIN service.org. And we're also on social media on the same platforms, with the same name. And then my personal social media is Stephanie Anderson, MSM, as in Mary Sam Mary, on all platforms as well.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, it's always been a pleasure. But before I let you go, is there anything that you want to touch on or speak on, in regards that we didn't get to bring up?
I just want to encourage everybody during this climate that we're in to find ways to maybe trust your neighbor a little bit more, reach out to your neighbors a little bit more at this time, smile at people as they're coming across. I think there's a lot of distrust because of what's going on with our government, which is understandable. But I think as individuals, we need to start to try to find ways to come together as individuals so that the things that are going on in our government don't affect us as much as communities.
Yeah, because, like we all know, and some people say, we don't really realize what's going on until it hits home.
That's right.
And everything is hitting home right now. It is literally at our doorstep. And in regards to the bigger ecosystem, how the world works, the community is the core, is the root. So the more we improve our communities, the more the positivity will expand within our government, our leadership, our police officers. And another thing that I want to say before we go, voting is not just for the president, if you're not aware. You can vote in your sheriff, a judge. So please make sure you do your research in addition, to using your voice to create change. Once again, I'm Justice Lane, and this is The Mindset, and our guest is Stephanie Anderson.